Well, in our first session last week, we talked about holding the ukulele, which I truly believe is the hardest part of playing it. Truly, it took me years before I was finally comfortable. And we started working on a couple chords, including some strumming. And today we're going to do a pretty deep dive into strumming and talk about what's really difficult about it, because some people can do it pretty well right away, and then other people can't. And I'm one of those people that really couldn't strum very well. In fact, when I picked up the ukulele many, many years ago now, I was learning how to play it. My grandfather was teaching me, and he'd show me the chords. And the chords I picked up relatively quickly. Like my fingers felt like they, could go to the places. But as soon as he showed me how to strum, all bets were off. It was a catastrophe. He'd say, "Do this," and I'd sit there and I'd try what I thought was that, and be like, no, don't do that, do this. And it'd be this awful thing of just, why isn't this working for me? And I'd hear someone say, "Hey, play a strum pattern like down, down, up, down, up," which we've probably heard before. And I'd sit there and I'd go, okay, all right, down, down, up, down, up. Okay, I got it, right? Down, down, up, down, up. This is music, right? This is great. And obviously it doesn't sound very good because it's pretty wrong. And the reason for that is because while you can feel strumming, sometimes that can set you back a little bit if you don't have a good context for what you should be feeling for. So my favorite way to start working on strumming is to start by clapping our hands or tapping our feet. So when we are listening to music, we tend to do these two things, right? No matter what the song is, your foot will just start tapping, your hands will start clapping. And even the people with the worst rhythm in the world can usually clap mostly in time, right? If they're just clapping on beats 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, they can do it. So everyone, let's go ahead and clap together, as silly as it might be. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to count to 4 as we do this, right? All that this is doing is giving us a little bit of a sense of rhythm and a feel right now that we're going to be wanting to use when we're strumming our ukuleles. If you're a little faster, a little slower at times, that's okay. Just try to come back. You'll notice I'm not perfect with it, but it's kind of like a metronome, this constant click. Now, what I want you to try and do is I want you to try to clap and then clap again right away. So clap and then clap. And what you'll notice is if you want to clap twice, something happens, right? What that thing is that happens is, well, your hands come together and then your hands have to come apart before they go together again. It's physically impossible to clap and then clap again without these hands coming apart. I know this seems kind of weird. Where am I going with this? Well, that aspect of taking away your hands is really as integral to the feel of the clap as the clap itself. It's not just clapping. It's clapping your hands together and then pulling them apart and putting them back together and pulling them apart. It's really two different motions. Just like tapping your foot. When you tap your foot on the ground, you can't tap it a second time. It just doesn't work. You have to tap it and raise it up and tap it and raise it up. And the best foot tappers or marchers while they're in a marching band or clappers don't look like this, right? Well, if I'm clapping a beat like this, see how natural the movement is with the hands, right? I don't go like this. And that's how some people try to strum. And the way they do this is they try to just do the motions instead of keeping everything consistent. So what we want to think of is our clap is like a strum. And the first clap motion we make of our hands coming together, that's our down strum. And the second motion of the clap of our hands coming apart, that is our up strum. So when we clap, we can think of it as an ukulele strum. And if we pull it open, maybe we play that awesome chord we learned last session, our index finger here on the first fret of the E string. This is what we call an F add 9 chord. And let's practice clapping essentially. So we're going to go down, which is our clap going in, and then we're going to come back up, which is our hand coming away. Notice how the hand is consistently moving on both that down and that up motion, right? Just like if I were clapping. In fact, I can even say those motions with my claps. Down, up, 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 down, up. You see, it's exactly the same type of movement. Same as like your foot tapping as well. In fact, I like to imagine sometimes if I'm struggling with strumming, is I start to just tap my foot, try to get that in the beat. And I imagine that there's a string tied from my finger to my big toe that's just in unison. When the foot comes up, the hand comes up. When the foot goes down, the hand goes down. And as I do that, going back to that F9 chord, F at 9, we can hear and see that consistency of rhythm. Now, that's great and all, except clapping is kind of a weak analogy in some ways, because when we clap, we don't get a sound when we come off, right? Just like with tapping our foot, we get the sound and then we don't get anything coming up. We can do this with strumming as well, introducing a different concept, which is missing the strings. The ultimate trick to creating really good rhythms with an ukulele is understanding that your hand moves, but it doesn't always hit the strings. That's the trick. That's the secret. So let's try a clap strum or something like that, where basically we're going to strum on the down, and then on the up, just like a clap, we're going to make no sound at all. How do we do this? Well, we do our down strum with our index, just like we talked about in the last session, tilting the fingernail down, pointing it down towards the ground, right? And then when we bring our hand back up and kind of curl our finger, instead of striking the strings with the fleshy part of our hand like we normally do, we're going to just sort of remove it out and come up. So we're going to miss the strings entirely. So let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to go down, and then miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. Now, as silly as it is to say this, I find that it helps so much if you're struggling with it. So if this concept is difficult, vocalizing it, trying to say the motions can really help. So let's go ahead and try this. Down, miss, 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 down, miss. See how it's the same exact type of idea, or the foot tapping. It's the same type of idea, right? So missing the strings really can create a lot of different sound, but just missing on the up strum is one thing. The trick is we got to be able to miss any time. So it's not just on those ups. We also have to be able to miss on the downs. And this is really hard because our clap and our foot tap, those happen on the beat. What happens on what we call the off beat is the separation, right? When we're strumming an ukulele, our down strum is our downbeat and our up strum is our offbeat. So to play on that offbeat and miss on that downbeat, it feels like doing this. It's so awkward, but just saying the motions can really help. So what we'll do is, instead of striking the strings going down, we're going to miss the strings going down. We're still going to bring our hand down the same sort of way. And we're just going to kind of remove the finger a bit as we move the hand down. We don't need to flick the finger so much like we did in our strumming last week, because we're not actually strumming the ukulele. We're just bringing the hand down. But then when we come up, we're going to do the exact same thing we did last time in our up strum. We're going to use the fleshy pad of the finger, curl it up and point it towards our chin. So let's go ahead and try this. And if it's tricky, that's okay. It took me a long time before this really worked, but it looks and sounds something like this. I'm going to say the miss for the down, and then I'm going to say up for the up. Miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up. If you're struggling with this at all, saying these motions can really help, right? So you can hear how that sounds a little bit different, but we're going too slow to get the real perspective of strumming. So let's try doing some of these things quite a bit faster so that we can really get a feel. Let's start with our down up. So let's do that same chord for now. And we're going to go down and then up, and we're going to do this a little bit faster. So I'm going to count us in, which will sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, 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 down, up. So this is what we were working on in our last session, right? Sounds great, works well. Well, let's go ahead and try missing on the up strums now. Remember, the most important thing you can do is keep this hand moving. Just like you're clapping your hands or tapping your foot, if you try to tap it out of time, it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and try down, miss, 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 down, miss. If this is too hard to do, just try saying it. Down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. You can try clapping it. Whatever works to create that sound. Down, miss, 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 down, miss. Whew, it's a lot, right? But you can start to hear how that sort of works. And if you're moving your hand, well, it looks the same. We'll talk more about that in a second. But now let's try the hard one. Let's try this one. It's like this on a pogo stick. It's so hard. It's so difficult. But let's go ahead and try it. Let's go ahead and go back to our down ups. And let's take those down ups and let's try going then miss up from there. This is really difficult. Worst case scenario, just try saying it and then try doing it. It's amazing how when we can vocalize something, it's so much easier to do. And if that's hard too, you can try clapping your hands with it too and saying, remember, whatever we can do to start to feel this rhythm and feel this sound. So let's go back to that chord. We're going to go down ups. So here we go. We're going down up, 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 down up. Now what we're going to start doing is the miss up, 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 miss up. This is so hard, right? It's so awkward because we're doing what's called a syncopated beat, which means accents on the offbeat. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to talk and do this at the same time, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So when we're doing this sort of motion, you notice that that hand consistently moves. So let's try going back and forth between some of them. Now, if this is too difficult, that's totally fine. It's okay to just work on one piece of this. Just get comfortable with one thing at a time. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down, up 4 times, and then I'm going to go down, miss 4 times. So let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like. I'll count it in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. Again, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. One more down, up, down, up, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. Very good. This is hard stuff when you haven't done this before, but this is the trick to strumming really proficiently. Every single time, almost, that I strum, my hand is moving just like this. No matter how complicated and fast and crazy it is, it's that same movement. So let's try the really hard one. Let's try going down, up 4 times, and then let's do miss up 4 times. This one's a doozy. If you can do this first try, you're a phenom. This is hard. So let's go ahead and try it with the F add 9 chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss up, miss up, miss up, miss up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss up, miss up, miss up, miss up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss up, miss up, miss up, miss up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Very good. Very good work. This is really hard because it's so awkward. But what it's doing is it's training ourselves to understand how the relationship between what we're feeling and the rhythms that we're playing can be really internalized. And that's magical because when we're playing a strum pattern, we have to realize that this is what it's all being made from. So to kind of show a little example of this, I'm going to start strumming. I'm only going to play the 3 chords we worked on in our last session. So the C, the F add 9, and the A minor. And what I want you to do is 2 things. I want you to watch to see if I do anything differently. So when you're looking at specifically the strumming hand, does it look like I'm strumming any differently? Like, does it look like I'm going faster or anything? Or does it look the same? And then more importantly, I want you to listen. And I want you to listen, does it sound different? Not necessarily faster or slower. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to play faster or slower. But does the rhythm sound different? Does it sound like different strum patterns are being played? So here we go. I'm just going to play on those 3 chords and start strumming. I want you to listen, hear if it sounds like different rhythms, and look, see if it looks any different. So something like this. right? So as I'm doing that, this looks the same, doesn't it? The whole time. It never looks different. When I'm striking the strings or I'm missing the strings, there's no variation in terms of my hands movement. It's constant, just like clapping our hands or tapping our feet, right? People don't clap like this, right? That's terrible. It's out of rhythm. Just like people don't strum like that. It's all constant. But what happened is my rhythms changed wildly in sound. And that's because I started using different combinations of striking and missing the strings. I would sometimes do a downstroke and then I would miss coming up and then do maybe a down and an up or something. Other times I would do a miss going down and come up and down, up, or other weird combinations where maybe I go a miss and then an up and then a down and then a miss, or one of my favorites, a down, then a miss, then a miss, then an up, which is just crazy. But you can see it's the same stuff. And the trick to being really good at strumming is being really proficient with that movement and internalizing it. I can say all of these strum patterns that I play because that's what I needed to be able to play them. I've had a lot of friends that have been very gifted musicians that I will like hand them an instrument. They just start strumming stuff and it sounds great. And I'm just like, how are you doing that? And it was so frustrating when I was first learning because I could be working on something for weeks and somebody else could just pick it up and do it because they felt it. Same reason I think I'm a really bad dancer. But the trick is with this consistency, you can do any strum, even though it's hard, by just getting comfortable with these essentially 4 different types of strumming. First being down up, one that we worked on. Second being down miss, where you're missing on the up strum. The third being miss up. And then the last one being miss miss, which is kind of crazy. Miss 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 miss. But it's really important when you're trying to play certain sounds. Right? If you ever wonder how people can stop strumming sound and then still be in time, keep that hand moving. And so that's the magic of strumming. It's the most important part, I think, because it's what I needed the most to be able to learn. And if all that you work on over the next, little bit of time is getting comfortable missing the strings coming up and then missing the strings going down, it doesn't really matter because as long as you're making progress and keeping this moving, you're doing the right stuff. And it's difficult for sure. And so when we're trying to create strum patterns now, what we really want to do is get comfortable with a strum pattern. So let's take a look at that strum pattern I mentioned before that I couldn't play to save my life when I was learning. Down, down, up, up, down, up. You've probably heard it before. Most people have heard it before. So down, down, up, up, down, up. Down, down, up, up, down, up. No, that's not right? That'd be like, something like that. It doesn't work. So let's think. Down, down. Well, there's no such thing, right? We can't go down twice. We can't clap our hands twice, right? So it's not down, down. What is it? Well, it's actually down, miss, down. So let's start there. Okay, so we'll take that same chord. We're going to go down, miss, down. Okay, this is good. So it goes down, miss, down, up. Okay, this works out pretty well so far. Down, miss, down, up. And then, so it goes down, down, up, up. Oh, shoot. Up, up. Up, up, nope. If we had a double neck ukulele, maybe, but we don't. So what do? Well, we miss going back down, right? And that's what makes this rhythm really hard for some people, is it's a miss going down before that second up. So it's not down, down, up, up, down, up. It's down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. And if we think of it as down, miss, down, up, down, up, hear how everything is regular, everything has a responsibility. That makes it so much easier for people like me that didn't just feel the rhythm when we were learning. And so I'm going to say this motion. Let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. So it goes down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. We do it a little bit faster so we can hear it. Down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. I'm not expecting you to play it at the speed right now, but listen. That's the music, right? When I was doing it like this, that was not the rhythm. That was not the music. That sounded terrible, right? But when I start to incorporate those misses, everything starts to take off. That's a difficult pattern, to be honest. Down, miss, up, down, up. There's a lot of moving parts there. It's a lot that's going on. And if you're just starting with this, don't worry about doing that pattern today. Just worry about getting comfortable with maybe going down, miss. And then from there, get comfortable going miss, up, and repeating these and reorganizing them and lots of different things. We'll actually have a worksheet available that will be linked down below here on the YouTube video and everything else that shows some of these different patterns and how you can play them. The way that I like to write it out, if you want to write out patterns, is I'll write arrows and I'll do a solid arrow for it being a strum where I strike the string, and a dotted arrow to symbolize, hey, I'm still making that movement, but I'm not going to touch the strings. Again, you'll be able to find more on that worksheet for how it can be spelled out. But this, again, is how I learned how to strum because I needed it to be able to do everything. And it doesn't matter how simple of a strum pattern it is, like down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up, or how complicated you can get with all sorts of different techniques. They all still can be represented with just going down and up. If I strum some of the most crazy stuff I possibly can, I'll do a little bit. And what I want you to do is just watch my hand. Does it still go down and up, right? So if I do something like this, right? The hand is still going down and up no matter what speed I'm playing this at. It's the same stuff. I might be using my thumb and other fingers and all sorts of stuff, but at its core, I'm just clapping really fast. I'm making sure that my down and up have that same relationship. I never go down, down because I can't. So that's my favorite rhythm with it to be able to show is that down, down, up, down, up, just because, man, it gave me a tough time and it doesn't anymore thanks to this. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about strumming with a little bit of context for like playing a song, because talking about rhythms and all that is great, but some people don't need that. Some people just feel the song and they're good. And so one of my favorite ukulele teachers, his name's Aldrin Guerrero. He's got this great quote. He runs Ukulele Underground, and it's try to find the heartbeat of the song. And I love that idea. So if you're ever playing a song and you're not sure what strum pattern to use or whatever else, don't even worry about it anymore. Just try to feel whatever's in there. And if you have that language of the down ups and the down miss and the miss ups and the miss, you can start to communicate with those and talk through them. So let's go ahead and try a little example of a song. I'm going to show you how you can do different rhythms with it to be able to play. Now, I'm an absolutely dreadful singer, so I apologize in advance for anybody in the room listening. But let's go ahead and look a little bit at the song When the Saints Go Marching In, which isn't always the best, but it works. It works for this. To play this, we're going to use our C chord that we used in our first session. We're also going to use that F that we used in the last session, but we're going to introduce a new chord. And this is a 3-finger chord. The way that we do this is we play our F add 9 that we worked on in our last session. We're going to take our middle finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the C string, and our ring finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the A string. So it looks something like this. This is a doozy of a chord if you've never played with 3 fingers before. And one of the things that really can help is make sure that you point your fingernails towards your right shoulder if you're playing right-handed like I am. Otherwise, it's your left if you're facing the other way. But if you try to be too straight up and down, they can all get in the way. So pointing them towards the shoulder a bit can really help. Also, try to use the fingertips. Try to not let the fingers lay too flat, because then they'll touch on the other strings. Making them nice and pointy can really help make sure that those fingers are getting right into the place that they need to be. So this concept now of, I was just playing playing G7 here, of that F add 9, that 1 on the E string, and then the middle finger crossing up and over and the ring down and under. Point them towards that right shoulder. And we've got that last chord we're going to need. Now, when we're playing a chord progression, the most important thing you can do is not stop. Just like when you're clapping along with a song. If you forget what the words are or you forget the next part of the song, you don't stop clapping. You keep clapping and you figure out the other stuff. It's the same with strumming. I would much rather all of you play the wrong chords in time than the right chords out of time. Because when things are out of time, it just falls apart. So this hand needs to keep going no matter what. If you don't remember what the chord is, you can do my favorite non-chord on the ukulele. It's called the Z chord. What you do is you just take your hand and you grab your ukulele like this. Boom, instant drum. You got this almost shaker-like thing that you can play with. If you forget the chords or the chords are too difficult and you're just working on the rhythm, that's totally fine. Just play this and be our percussion. So let's go and try it. We're going to start with the C chord. The next chord we're going to play is that G7 chord is what it's called. And to do that, you're going to slide that ring finger down to the second fret on the A string. And next comes onto the 1 on the E, which was from that F add 9, and the middle finger crosses up. Best thing you can do is practice that ring finger kind of sliding down and then coming into play. Again, if you're not there in time, totally fine. Keep it strumming. But I'm going to play a strum pattern that I think works with the song. And it's a strum pattern all of you already know, because all that it is down and up, no missing, right? So that might sound and look something like this. Now I'm playing it kind of fast, and that's because we're playing a song right now. And when you play songs, a lot of times they're going to be faster than some of the things that you practice. But I'm just doing straight down ups, and I'm starting on that C, right? And so I'm going to sing the first part of the song, so it goes, oh, when the saints go marching in, right? Just when the saints go marching. We're going to switch to the G7. Oh, how I back to the C. Do be in that. Now there's going to be another chord, but let's stop for a moment. Let's just work on that first little section. One of the pitfalls is we try and do the whole song at once and we never learn anything. So start with oh, when the, and then it goes saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching. G7. How I'd see be in that. All right, that's a good kind of point to start practicing getting comfortable, right? There's this switch that happens, and we can try to count it. We can learn it all these different ways, but it's good to just start to hear the song and try to listen for where that change would take place. Now, right now, I'm basically just doing down ups, but you might have heard that I would sometimes do this sort of weird strum, or what's going on there? Well, I do my first strum, kind of like this accented strum. I make it a little louder, and I miss coming up just to draw a little bit more attention to it. And then I'm right back into our down ups. That can add a lot of flavor, right? Here's just the down ups. Right? Here's doing like a strong first strum, followed by the down ups. See how I'm keeping that hand moving? That's the trick, is that consistent movement. So let's go ahead and try it again. So, oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching. G7. How I'd see to be in that. Now it's going to go to the F that we learned there for the word number. Number. Oh, when the C go G7 in. And now if you look, right now I'm just strumming. Down and ups, nothing complicated, right? Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching. G7. How I'd see to be in that F. When the C go G7 in. Pretty cool, right? We're playing a song and we're strumming it fast. This is fast strumming, right? And if you just start clapping your hands like this, you're doing the same motions that we're doing right here. Now, what if I want to make it a little bit more advanced? Well, I totally could. I could do our down, miss, up, down, up, but quite a bit faster. It's the same thing though. You see how the hand is still moving. It's the same thing as this, isn't it, right? So I could go when the saints go marching in. The saints go marching in. Now, I changed the rhythm all over the place, didn't I, right? Again, I'm no singer, so I apologize. But you can see that I start changing up the rhythm and doing different things. But as long as my hand keeps moving down and up, as long as I'm clapping, it almost doesn't really matter if I strum or miss the strings. In fact, it sounds better when you switch it up and you do different stuff, because that's what makes it musical. And that's where I mentioned, Aldrine's quote of find the heartbeat of the song. Just kind of listen for that song and hear, where do I hear this going? When in doubt, just down and up. if you want to try other things, you could try just downs, right? You could do whatever you want as long as that hand keeps on moving. So that's why I like the song Saints Go Marching In, right? Because your hand is got to keep marching to create this sort of sound. And that's the gist of strumming an ukulele, making sure that you're getting comfortable with concepts that involve creating really good patterns. It's all about that consistent motion. The hand needs to go down and up. Sometimes it strikes the strings, other times it mixes the strings, but it's very consistent with the motion. And if you do that, and you practice that, and you say that, and you internalize it, you can strum absolutely anything. So I'm going to open it up for any questions that people have now, because sometimes strumming can be a little confusing. As I think I mentioned before, this was the hardest thing for me to learn on the ukulele. It took so long of me going before kind of realizing, oh my God, everything keeps moving. So anybody have any questions? I'll look in the chat too. Dee says, so your suggested progression for teaching strumming is always down, up, then down, miss, then miss, up. Generally speaking, yeah, just because it gives you the building blocks. You also want to get the miss, miss in there as well. That's sort of your strumming alphabet, so to speak, right? It's those 4 letters create all the basic words that you need to say. Also, you just gave me a great idea for making a Google slide activity for my students based on this idea. Awesome. I have a whole game I do with this with students. Yeah, I'll post the worksheet along with this. I'll have Stephanie share it with this video somehow. We'll figure out how. But I make this little game where you basically have blocks of these different combinations. So you have a down miss, you have a miss up, you have a down up, you have a miss miss, and different quantities of each to make better rhythms. And you can literally just like mix them all up, pull out 4, and there's your strum pattern. And sometimes you get really cool patterns. Other times you get really not cool patterns, but the exercise of doing it is so helpful. And man, when you get a strum pattern that does something like down, miss, miss, up, it's so hard. That's the hardest combination. Down, miss, miss, up, down, miss, miss, up, down, miss, miss, up. It's so crazy, but you can create really nice rhythms doing this. In fact, doing one of my favorites is down, miss, miss, up, miss, miss, down, miss. More misses than down. Not something we usually do, but if you listen to it, it's kind of cool, right? And you can hear at the end there, I kind of added a couple of extras. As long as the hand is moving, you're going to be in time. So DLSEC says, this is crazy, amazing, awesome. It blew my mind when I finally was realizing it. It helped me so much. And some people just feel rhythm and they can just do this. And this is less important for them because they can already do it. This is really for the people that are struggling like I really did. And it's also very helpful for teachers that are struggling to relate to those rhythmless students they might have, because if they can say it like this, they can do it. So any other questions at all? Anybody have a voice question? No? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming for this one, for the strumming stuff. Again, it's very near and dear to my heart because it took me so long to do. And to be completely honest, it's my favorite part of playing the ukulele is strumming. I love the crazy fast, wicked strumming. When I was a teenager, that's why it made me fall in love with the ukulele. It also happened to be the thing that was the hardest for me. And so it was very much a blessing in disguise that way, because I love teaching it, because I've never had a student who is worse than I was when I was learning it. Like it was very bad when I was learning. So I'm saying, where will we find the worksheet? So I'll work it out with Stephanie that the recording of this, we'll try and get it in the link on that on YouTube. And then when this is all posted to YouTube as sort of its course, the worksheet will be linked in there as well. If you'd like to get a head start with it and you want to start working with it right now, you can literally on just a piece of paper, just write out down arrows and up arrows within these little grids. I'll kind of show you a real quick and quick way that I do it. So it looks something like this. So I've got just a blank page here. So I like for one beat to do something like this. So you can see that now I have these 2 lines representing one beat. And I have a down arrow and an up arrow. So that would be a down up. So I could do 4 of those if I wanted to. And Copy and paste makes this easier, but of course I'm making it more difficult on myself. So this would be just some straight down ups, for instance, right? Well, what you can also do is you can make those arrows dotted. And if you do that, then they look something like this. And that tells you you still need to make the motion, but you want to miss the strings as you're doing it. And you can also have the miss on the down, in which case that can look something like this. Again, we'll have more stuff posted soon so that you can work with it. But one of the reasons we didn't to start is just because when we're talking with it, it's so easy to kind of just look at the paper instead of think about clapping the hands and everything else. And so, but very cool. Thank you again for coming. We'll see you guys next week for the next one of these. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about finger picking and using that still with the same song and things, and continue the sort of journey of learning how to play the ukulele. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll see you guys next week. So thank you so much, and take it easy. La 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 la.